But this is an introductory event, and we're going to be looking at connection and relational practice. The first, 45 minutes will be me talking and leading us towards these two aspects, as the felt sense of connection and how we can practice and sink into relationship. And then the second portion is going to be us working together, exploring at the level that feels right for you. So I want to start with a guided meditation, and I will outline create a map and a framework for where we are now and where we're going together. So when I offer meditation, I invite you to close your eyes. First thing that happens is when you close your eyes, you don't have to process your visual field anymore. You don't have to look at people or smile at anyone or even know they're looking at you. And this leaves more space for everything else in your experience. And our meditation today is going to be bringing our focus through our experience. What do I mean by that? Well, the first thing is that I can concentrate or focus on the physical quality of my body. I can notice the weight of my body, and I can feel that gravity is pulling me down into the ground. And this is a force that is enacting on me that I relax into. And at the same time that I feel this physicality and this downward pull, I shift my focus. I notice the movement of my sensations through my body. My body is alive. I have energy. And this energy, the sensations are moving. And I can track the movement of the sensations through my body. I can also track the movement of emotion through my body. So shift my focus from my sensations to the specific emotions that I experience. And this too is energy. I can feel it moving. I can shift my focus again. I notice my thoughts, my mental images, and the flow of unformed mental energy is passing through me. All of this is moving. And I'm aware. I shift my focus again. I notice that there is awareness. The reason that I can witness my thoughts or my feelings and feel the weight of my body is because I'm aware. And awareness doesn't feel like a thought or an emotion or a heavy body. It feels like a witnessing space. And just see what happens if I give my attention to this witnessing space of awareness. So as I move my focus through my experience, I can also relax sort of feel the totality of my experience. All of these different levels coexist. My body, my sensations, my emotions, my thoughts, and awareness. You can think about this like a spectrum. This is really important, and we'll lean into this today, that my experience is a spectrum with different qualities. And my relaxation or my expansion of my focus means that I can perceive them coexisting. Okay, so I have opened my eyes, and you're welcome to do the same too. So connection is possible at all of these different levels of experience. So physically, we could be connected if we were dancing together or pushing into each other, or we lived in the same house, or we were in the same room. But for us today on Zoom, that's not going to be possible. We're not going to be looking at that kind of connection. We're going to be looking at connection in the subtler end of the spectrum of our experience, in our energy and our emotions, in the experience of being aware. So you'll hear me ask this question throughout our session today, which is, does your body know that we are here together? Or can you feel that I'm here feeling my body? And we just look for what signs, changes we notice in ourselves when we ask the question. And again, we'll come back to this. So feeling connection is something that does not require physical closeness necessarily. It can happen at the level of our sensations, our emotions, our felt sense of our body, our awareness. And this is what we're going to be exploring today. So this expansion into the spectrum of our experience is very important. It's in part the goal of our spiritual practice, of our development, is to open ourselves to more of life and to understand or feel directly the subtlety of a world made of energy, where there is space, where the world feels more like consciousness. But if we just start at the sort of agreed upon the world that I knew to begin with, which is a material world, that the world is physical, this is the dominant reality, we perceive ourselves as separate from each other and sort of competing over scarce resources. And this is true physically, we are separate from each other. It's really helpful to know that. If I'm in the grocery store and there's only one tub of ice cream left, someone else buys it, I'm just out of luck. They get to have the ice cream. But this expansion of consciousness means that there's more to myself and to my life, to my experience of being with others, than this physical reality. So again, as I shift my focus, I can feel myself physically. This is true. This doesn't go away. But I soften the way I feel my body. I'm looking for the movement of energy, the flow of sensations. The same time that my body is solid and physical, I can start to know myself as a field or a flow of energy. And then I ask my body, do I know that you are here feeling your energy? Does my energy know that you are here, that your body is also a field of changing sensation? And again, I just feel the answer. I don't have to know it mentally. I just feel it in the changes that occur in my perception and my focus and in the sensations of my body. I feel myself emotionally and mentally. I sink a little deeper into my body. One thing we will notice is as we feel more into our sensations in this flow of energy, the boundary around our body will soften. And my sensations don't have a hard boundary like my physical body. So as I soften my focus, the edges of my body will soften as well. And the boundary of my energy becomes less defined. You can just see if this feels true for you too. As we relax into our sensations and the flow of energy, the boundary of our body feels less defined. And it's this softening of this sense of separation that we're going to enter into felt sense of connection. And in this call today, and in our life in general, we can start to perceive that there is an exchange of energy and a felt sense of sharing the same sort of field or flow of energy with other human beings. So connection means that the energy that I experience, the sensations, the emotions, the thoughts that I experience actually are not bound by my physical body, but can be seen and felt by other people because they are passing through awareness. They are passing through the space of my consciousness from me to you. So I can feel that I am known, that people understand me, that I can feel felt by people who are physically separate from me because my experience is being transmitted to them. And you can just reflect on a person in your life or time where you felt like somebody really saw you, really understood you, or what your inner experience really landed and was acknowledged by another person. You just notice how it feels to ask the question or to remember, to think of, to feel your answer. And conversely, we can invite ourselves to notice a time in which you haven't felt seen or noticed or heard by another person, or your inner experience has not been received. And we feel into that as well. So my experience of inviting this question is that when I contemplate being seen, the times in which my experience can be received by other people, I soften more. This boundary between my body and life softens, and I move more towards this open state of energy, which is inducing or allowing this exchange. I soften, I open, I become I turn more to the sense of aliveness, and the boundary becomes softer, less clear. When I feel unseen, the opposite happens. I find myself wanting to harden. I define the boundary more intensely. I use my energy to hold myself separate from the world. And just see how that lands with you, that description. When I feel seen by others, I relax into my body. I allow more flow. I feel more at ease with myself, and there's more space for my feelings, sensations, my energy to move. And when I do not feel seen, I restrict the flow of my body. I create a felt sense barrier between me and the world. And I move more towards this perception of a separate world. And I just opened just to see if anyone has a similar experience to me in my description, or if it's different for you. You don't have to share, but open to hearing if it's like that for you or if it's different. And then as I wait to see if somebody would like to share, you share the same. Lovely. If anybody else wants to share their experience, again, feel free just to unmute yourself. But as we sort of wait, we're going to be receiving either what I have to say or what someone else has to say. So we just prepare ourselves. If I'm going to be receiving someone's expression, I feel my body, I soften, I relax. It's like I'm listening. I learn to listen from an open and a soft body. I listen into connection. So as you hear me speak, you can hear my words, but they're also, I'm feeling my body and I'm describing my experience of my body and my energy at the same time. And I just invite you just to be open to receive from me, not only my words, my energy. That you are listening with your whole self. So for the individual who is on a spiritual path or a meditative path or a personal development journey, the invitation is always to allow more of ourselves to live. So I move into a relationship of less self-restriction, less self-censoring, more natural movement, more participation, more relaxation, more openness. And I can develop this through my meditative practice or through all of the things that I do in my life that give me joy, dancing or being in nature or the work that I do. It calls more of my energy out of me. And in the individual path, there's not a clear contemplation of why and how we have shut down in the first place. The emphasis is on relaxing and allowing, which is very beautiful. But our understanding of relationship and connection gives us great insight into why we feel separate in the first place, how we have learned to restrict our movement in the first place. There's a reason that I restrict myself. And this reason is actually found in the relational experiences that I've had in this life. And I'll get to your question in just a second. So in this example, I contemplate the times that I have felt seen and moments where I feel seen. Again, my body softens. I contemplate moments where I haven't felt seen. My body contracts. And in my experience of working with people and meeting people, this is a universal phenomenon. We all are doing this. We're managing through contraction. We're managing this flow of energy, and we're moving more into connection and more into a softening and relating, or we are moving more into a felt sense of separateness, individuality, of physicality, or a dominant perception of physicality. And just see how, if you have a question now, you're welcome to interject. Otherwise, we can get to it later.
When you talk about seen by others, I noticed there is two kinds of being seen. There is people that see you, but they see specific things in you that make me feel closed. They do see that, but they see the difficulty, or they see something that maybe I shared, but they took something out of it, trying to maybe translate it in their words, and then it doesn't feel good. They do see something, but it's not comfortable, and there is this thing that it does open up, that in a way they see what I want to be seen for. So I guess there is a scale there. That's
I will get back to this. I think it's an important distinction, and I will pick up on this a little later. Okay. Thank you. So again, this is Yael's point is really important, that what we are seen for, or what is seen by other people, that we can have a strong, we all do, I certainly do, have a felt sense desire of the parts of ourselves that we really want to have seen by other people. And a little later, we can explore what those parts are and why that is particularly important. But we have this universal mechanism of moving away from connection when I feel unseen, and moving towards connection when I feel seen. And so for the individual in our lives, we can have a sense of how this works, but I want to expand sort of the way in which we contemplate this. If you imagine 8 billion, or for our purposes, 8, there's 8 of us here, 7 of us here. If you imagine 7 of us here doing this, opening and closing it to each other, expressing, feeling seen, opening more, the not feeling seen and not feeling really gotten or felt, and closing. And you can think about the 7 of us as like an organism. And as an organism, we function to exchange energy. This is our job. And when this energy exchange is possible, then there's health in our organism and openness, and we sink into this deeper level of consciousness. And when there is misattunement or unseen, we feel unseen, we become more individual. We freeze our expression, or we lower the amount of energy that we share. We become more individualistic, and this organism has less energy. I am not a scientist, or biologist, but this is how I see the human body working. The human body works on this exchange of energy, of information, just the same. And so the life of each cell is really dependent on its ability to communicate and get resources from the rest of the cells in the body. So in my body, my skin cells, or my brain, my neurons, or my heart cells, none of these have a real independent existence. They are completely dependent on the communication and the sort of teamwork between the whole body. And if there is not health in the body, then you imagine a cell closing itself off, hardening to protect itself in an unhealthy system. So similarly, as a group, we are a system, we are an organism, we are a field, a body. And we can learn to deepen in our communication, to learn to send energy and receive energy, or we can hold ourselves separately. And the relational practice means that I am moving towards the implicit blueprint for health that is present in my body, but also in the collective human body. It means that I'm learning to use this mechanism of being seen and seeing others as a way to move myself and my whole system, the whole world, towards the healthy functioning. So again, physically, this maybe doesn't make sense, right? The physical organisms work like Lego pieces or Minecraft pieces. They're not so dependent on the felt sense of connection. But as we move deeper into consciousness, we'll realize that at the same time that we're all separate physical beings, there's this felt sense of aliveness and vitality. And this felt sense is supported by connection, and it is blocked or lowered, or it goes numb when there's disconnection. And I start to realize that I am depending on my vitality to participate in life. I'm depending on my energy and my expressive capacity and my ability to communicate and my ability to feel my motivation. I'm depending on that to participate in life, and so are you. And so is every other person in the world. We are all depending on this felt sense of aliveness to express our highest potential in the world. And so each of us being born into a system that is unhealthy, where connection is not so continuous or possible, and often connection is dangerous, we recognize that all of us are coming to some degree with the strategy of separating ourselves from other people to manage the experience of being unseen. We all have built into our bodies a sort of structure of hardened, separate contracting that is impacting our ability to participate and to contribute to a healthy system. So again, we could recognize this as individuals, we could acknowledge this, and we could sit in meditation and we could just allow and relax, and theoretically, all of this tension and contraction could leave us and we could have beautiful experiences. But at the same time that we learn, as many of you have, to have a personal practice, we also can realize that we can find people who can see us, and we can develop the ability to see other people. And when this happens, we can create the relaxation. We can sort of undo the contraction by creating the connection that is really necessary. We can induce openness. We can induce the higher energy states by really feeling into connection, expressing into connection, and receiving other people, really feeling people and seeing them as they are. And so relational practice is a commitment to this blueprint of connection and the underlying health that comes with this, that it induces, as a means to spiritual development and higher levels of self-participation and connection into the world. So, and just see, how does all of this feel to you? Again, you hear my words, just see what happens in your body when I say all this. And does your body know that I'm here feeling my body, that we are here together?
Blaze, what it brings up for me is it makes me wonder, there are closed people, there are open people, but they're also they're aggressive people. Like they're not people, they're people who are really on the negative side rather than the neutral side. And so, what does one do with those?
Right. Well, the first thing is, as I hear your question, I also feel into the energy of it. And having known you, I know that this is something you've already experienced, right? So by the time we're looking to deal with aggressive people in our life, we already have. So one of the main things we're going to do is to ask ourselves and ask each other relationally, how have you learned to deal with aggressive people so far? What does your body and your energy tell us about this?
Are you asking me now? Yeah. It's like keep a wide distance, go around them, go through the other room, avoid them. Um, and I think historically, I shut down around them.
Absolutely. Right. And so we're just really welcoming that you feel your answer and I feel your answer. And my impulse is that we just go slower and we're softer. And it's like the opposite of what you're describing. And we just stay, if we can stay, you and I, connected at the same time that we feel this. And when we describe energy or emotion, it's very important to acknowledge that as children, as adults, but as children, we're very sensitive. So aggression or anger that's unhealthy is overwhelming for children. So it's a very intelligent response to protect ourselves from this by shutting down. And the invitation is that if we take that same experience of having shut down and we place it in a relational experience between you and I, or in this group, or with anyone else, where there is not aggression, where there's sensitivity, where there's time and space, the blueprint of your body will make different choices. When the environmental conditions are different, we will learn that your body will do something different. Just as it's intelligent to shut down when there's overwhelming anger, your body will intelligently open up into a space where there is connection as possible. This isn't something that we have to will. It's like a sort of physics of energy that we are seeking connection no matter what has happened. So part of the answer to your question is that we find people to be with who can help us process what our past experiences of aggressive people. And when we are young, again, our choices are really limited in how we deal with aggressive people. We can shut down, we can run away, we can make ourselves smaller, we can feel wrong, we can stifle expression, essentially. But as we find people who can support our expression, our felt sense of our body, of our energy, gets bigger. We start to feel bigger than we did when we were children and when we had to make ourselves small. And so having people that help us get bigger means we will encounter people who are angry or aggressive, and we will start to witness ourselves make different choices. Now that happens progressively over time. That happens with the support of a lot of care and people seeing us and supporting our expression. But the blueprint of health is that if I am seen and there is enough expression, I will learn to have a response to things in my life that were previously overwhelming. Like each of us has a response in us to the problems of the world. But that response is a product of growth and development and flowering. Just as when I'm a child, I don't know how I'm ever going to get an apartment and a job, and it's not possible. But if I'm supported developmentally for long enough and I continue to integrate all the skills that come along the way, one day I will know how to get a job and have an apartment or whatever it is. So similarly, I don't know today what I'm going to do about these aggressive people in my life. But I realize if I support the process of development of my emotional world and my sensations and my mental world, that I will grow experientially into a person that has something to offer in response to this. And increasingly, I become a source of health for the body rather than depending on the body solely to be healthy. Rather than depending on my environment to produce the conditions that would be optimal for my childhood development, I become a source of that. I become an adult. And that's the ideal. So when I'm not able to do that, that to me just signals that there is more of me which needs to be seen and supported to express, to flower, to become my growth, to be a bigger, more integrated version of myself. So when we have this question, when this question arises in relationally, and I'm asking two questions when I relate to you or someone else. I'm asking what happened, what was your previous experience, and can I feel that with you? But I'm also looking, it's my belief that you and everyone else, all of us, we have more energy than we are currently aware of. That when we shut down or we freeze, we separate ourselves, we are hiding our future solutions. And so, yes, there can be pain and difficulty, but I'm also listening for the solutions that are going to be born out of the sort of interior of this separate person. So I'm learning to just assume, see, support that you have the answers for your life. You have the power that is required to respond and manifest the life of your dreams and to contribute. Just as in when I see a flower bud, I assume that the bud of this flower has all the ingredients necessary to become a beautiful flower. Just because it's a bud now, I don't take that to mean something about its potential. I realize that its potential is internal and hidden, but that if the conditions are right, it can be supported to flower. So I just pause and see how all that lands for you.
No, it all makes sense. It all really does make sense.
Right. And when there are people who see us, we are inducing, when we feel really loved or cared for or safe, we are inducing these conditions to show the world, to show life what we've come with, our gifts, our potential, all the things that are both delicate and beautiful about us. We are inducing that. And again, meditatively, you could say, if I just sit here and I don't resist, I can be a source of that. I can learn to be a source of that for myself as well. And this is very beautiful. But I believe that my gifts, like your gifts, the things that you are passionate about, aren't just for you. I believe that they are in you to contribute to the health of the system. For example, if you are an artist, the art that you make that is inspired touches people. It has a positive impact on the world around you. Everything that we love can be thought of as our own joy and our own potential to be for us, but it is also the infusing the world with more beauty and love and power and genius and breakthrough. And so we can learn to support it in and of ourselves, but we can also find people who recognize this in us, who can say, I feel that what you are bringing into this world is a gift. You are not a bystander in the human evolution, that there is something in you which I can feel, which is to be contributed. There is a purpose to your life. Again, Yael said, it's not just anything that I want to have seen. It's not just anything in particular. I believe deeply, we all want to be seen in our essential goodness and how that goodness is to be expressed into life. And we need the support to fulfill that. And ideally, this would happen from our family and from our parents and from our culture. But when that doesn't happen, we have a sort of unnurtured bud or kernel of genius or gift, which needs to be seen and supported. And, we imagine that, or in our culture, in the culture I grew up, some people have this, like, I don't know, Picasso or Einstein have this, but I believe it's actually an essential part of being a human being. Having a unique contribution, a unique expression that contributes to the health of this world, that can be seen, appreciated, supported, and is inherently fulfilling, is innate to being a human being. And so relational practice means that if I know what that is or I do not know what that is, I'm finding people who are willing to discover that about me. I'm willing to discover that about myself. So again, Joseph, I just see if there's anything else that you want to share about that.
No, I think I'm good. Thank you, Blaise.
My pleasure.
Blaise, can I add something?
Yeah.
That feels like it fits with what both Joseph and Yael said, is seen with love or seen with non-judgment. Because many of us have the experience of having felt quite seen and but with judgment or criticism. So to me, I want to make that caveat of seen with love or seen with non-judgment.
Right. And when we say seen, if we just even slow that down, what does it mean when someone sees me? What it means is that I express something. I say, it could be anything. Like, I want to become a spiritual teacher. I feel it's my calling to become a spiritual teacher and offer my insights in support of the transformation of the world. Or I feel really sad. That any of these things. I express this. So I say, I want to be a spiritual teacher. I am a spiritual teacher. And I feel this. This is not a nothing thing for me. This tracks. I can feel it emotionally. I can feel it in the sensations of my body. I can feel it in the way that I sit, in my posture, in the way that my physical body is. And I'm transmitting this to you. So I say it, but it's also an expression of my energy. And to be seen means that you learn to open yourself and receive what I am transmitting. You learn to receive the energy that I'm expressing, or you could say the energy that I'm feeling that is moving through me. Just as much as it moves through me, it moves through the space between us and lands in you. And so you get the flavor of the energy that I'm experiencing, and I can recognize that. I can see what I am putting out is actually landing in you. And so non-judgment, another way to say non-judgment is when I feel sad and you feel sad, when I express my sadness, what I receive as a response is a healthy response to what I am feeling, right? So you think in a body, if I were a cell and I said that I don't have enough oxygen, I need more oxygen. If I express that out into the body, the other cells would pass that message on, would affirm my need. Oh, I see this clearly. This cell has a need for more oxygen, or whatever else the body is talking about. So if I tell you that I'm sad, what I'm looking for is a reflection that you become part of the solution to my sadness. That you soften, you feel tender or care, and your response becomes part of the way that I can relax into my experience and support its dissipation. And you start to realize what I'm sad about. I'm sad because I've been lonely. I feel lonely. And so when I say I feel lonely and you receive that, you stay with me. You are part of the living solution to what I'm expressing to you. Right? So I'm looking to see, not only do you hear the words that I say, but how does it affect you? When I say I feel lonely, do you stay here with me? And when I have this experience that I express out into the world loneliness, and what I get back is someone's care and attention, then I have like a living solution to my scarcity, to my absence, to my disconnection. Right? You are part of this living solution, and there's a repair occurring in this field of consciousness between human beings. And if I say I am a spiritual teacher and I want to participate in the transformation of human consciousness, and you receive that and you say, wow, I really feel the intensity and scope of your energy. It feels really beautiful to me. I want to support you. And I do this by just opening to the energy that you have and looking to see, how does it affect me? What action do I want to take? I watch this happened in my life. I have watched my daughter go to dance class, and I observe the changes that occur when she dances. I see how much attention she gives. I see how her posture changes. I see how much joy she experiences. So I take all this in. I go, wow, this is beautiful. This is life-giving. This is life-affirming. How do I support my daughter to have more experience of this? How do I build in this capacity that she has into my life? How do I make this an essential part of our family? And because I'm taking in her sort of genius or what she really loves. And so in both cases, what we're really looking to do is be affected by the experience that other people are having. And we will learn that when we're affected by those experiences, they are life affirming. So similarly, Joseph, over time, as we develop, when we see people who are angry, what we're looking for is not only our ability to sort of keep our head above water, which is important, but his ability to see them. Why are they angry? What do they need? How can I take in their experience and respond in a way that is life affirming, that supports their essential goodness? They must be angry about something. It might be being projected at me, but there's some essential experience that they've had relationally that has them expressing anger. And I want to know what that is. I want to be a student of their life. And anger is the door that they're providing for me. And so there must be something really important happening here. Otherwise, they wouldn't be angry about it. I take them seriously. So what we're talking about is a really dynamic and fluid system in which I'm discovering myself moment to moment, and I am discovering you moment to moment. And so this fluid dynamic process is part of this expansion of human consciousness. We're not just, again, Lego pieces or physical objects. We live in a world of fluid, ever-changing flow of energy and life. And this is our extension deeper into consciousness, where life feels more dreamlike, fluid, based on the impulses of discovery and creation and care and love. And relational practice and connection is taking us and this human body deeper into consciousness, into a very energized and fluid world. So again, I just pause. I don't know. I'm existing in this fluid world and I don't know what I'm going to say. So I just pause and feel what I have said. I feel what's happening in the group because I'm relating to you. I just see if anyone has any questions or comments before we move forward.
I'll say something. Not sure how I want to say it, but I was just flowing along with the conversation. It was feeling great, and yes, yes. And then when you then shifted to the person that was angry and seeing their anger as that gateway into understanding who they are and their experience, something happened in me around abuse and tolerating abuse. There's a lot of confusion there for me with, having healthy boundaries and how often I've stuck with the person who is aggressive or something else like that. As a compassionate person, as a curious person, as someone who believes in transformation, and ended up getting really hurt in those relationships.
Right. Let me just pause for a moment and see if there's more that you want to say before I respond to this.
I'd love to hear your response.
So for me, what abuse means, or violence, emotional or physical abuse, it means that my capacity to respond has been delayed. That my healthy, life-affirming response has been delayed because it's been overwhelmed. And so I have frozen my development because there's this intense experience, inappropriate experience of whatever the nature of it is coming at me. And so as I move through life, this frozen response or delayed response is not going to feel satisfying. I'm going to feel like, why do I get in these relationships and then I find myself not really getting what I need, or not really seen, or I keep getting into relationships with people who don't really see me. And we go like, this doesn't feel right. It's a pattern that I'm comfortable with, that I find myself falling into, but it's not satisfying. So what do I do? And for me, it's healthy to recognize that, again, I'm missing more energy, that my higher level of development has been delayed. And so I need to interrupt this process of being in relationships where this is coming at me. I need to find a way to interrupt this. I need to move into relational environments with myself as well, but relational environments where there is no violence coming. I can start to process what I've experienced and the emotions I have about it, and I can take up more space. So the question is, can I create a relational environment where there's enough trust and safety, where I can be seen in my mistrust and my pain and all of the vulnerability that comes with this, so that I can learn to take up more space? And when you take up more space, you will have a healthy relationship and know how to respond to people that are angry, and you will be able to do this innately, and it won't be a sacrifice to the essential development that needs to happen in the person who's experienced abuse. So we can't ever, it's unlikely that we will cut ourselves off completely from the experience of people who are aggressive. In fact, if this is a pattern in our life, we will likely just keep finding them over and over again there, right? So short of removing ourselves and going to a cave or removing ourselves from life, we really dig into relationships that are qualitatively different from what we've experienced, and that can see and really can feel that we are doing this, that we've shut down, or we're frozen, or we have withdrawn, all of these things, and can really welcome us. I welcome the experience that you have. I feel that there's more here, and I will go slow enough and still enough to just welcome everything that comes, so you can learn that it's safe to be bigger, to take up more space. And often this will feel, almost always, this will feel scary to take up more space. Because when we were younger, when there was abuse, it was scary to take, it would have been scary to take up more space. So this process goes at the level that we can tolerate expression and reflect on, how is it going? Does it really, if I show that I'm angry, or if I show that this is not okay with me, will the other person stay with me? Am I in harm when I actually express? And if I have relational experiences that can really show me that I'm safe, like that the responses I get from the people I'm in relationship with actually demonstrate their care and their understanding, and that their response feels right to me, I will learn that it actually is safe to take up more space. So I just pause to see how that answer feels for you.
Thank you. And it's a conversation that I've been having with you and others in this community. And it's funny how I keep coming back to this very conversation. And I just wanted to highlight something you just said about, does this response feel good to me? And I kind of want to, for myself at least, to put a pin in that. Like, wow, I get to decide if this response feels good to me. And I can feel this programming about, some outside standards of what should feel good and what shouldn't. But when you said that, it's something really went deep, and it feels kind of exhilarating.
Right. So one technique that we use, or thing that we do in relational practice, which we'll talk about more, is that we say words and then we feel them together. And if they're particularly powerful, we might pause to feel them even more. So I just repeat, I use this technique with you here, this strategy. I get to decide, or you get to decide, if a response feels good and right for you. Or just see, how does it feel to say that, to hear those words? What do you notice in the sensations, energy, emotions of your body?
I just feel the energy dropping, from here, just going all the way down. And it feels almost ecstatic.
And as this happens, I just invite, can you feel that I'm here with you as this happens?
Yes.
So what I'm inviting you to do is to feel your own body, and to open at the same time, to take up more space with your focus into this place where we are relating, where we are here together. Relationship, feeling connection, is an invitation for you to take up more space. So now we have that energy that's moving through your body, and we have a more expanded or relaxed field of focus. And my question is, what is happening to the energy that you feel as you allow it, as you open up more space for it?
Well, it obviously feels expansive, but I also feel this energy of like something that was going one direction is reversing. It's this feeling of, where I think I've had this maybe unconscious belief that relationship means taking less energy. And I'm hearing and feeling, no, it's about taking up more. And it's not a zero-sum game.
That's very important. Ice cream, there's one bucket of ice cream. It's a zero-sum game. Either you get the bucket of ice cream or I get the bucket of ice cream. But in connection, in a world made of energy, it is not a zero-sum game. And here's what I see happening. If I support you to take up more space and you have more energy, you will be more available to see me. You will be more here with me.
Yeah.
There will be more aliveness in you to be present to and to receive me. And that's how it works in a body. It's cells in a body. Healthy cells are in a better position to support cells in need. There is a mutuality to health, and we get a sense of that here. And human beings have not been existing relationally so much like that. We tend to exist more in the bandwidth of physical separation. And as you can see from human history, we fight over the territory. Right? We're willing to die over the territory. So again, we just sink in again and just see if there's more that you want to ask or share.
No, it feels really good. Thank you.
So every time we have a moment like this, what we are doing is we're signaling to all of the energy inside of our body to come up, that there is the opportunity to express and participate in life. We are creating like a pathway and a template for expression, being seen and being received, participating in life. And every time this happens, what we're going to witness is more of ourselves. We will become more aware of ourselves. We will recognize more of our energy that wants to participate or feels like it can't, or is frozen, or hasn't been seen, or is in grief, whatever it is. We will become more aware of ourselves because connection induces self-awareness. The same thing happens in the human body. If there's healthiness in the body, if there's health in the body, it induces detoxification because the body has the resource to process it. We only hold heavy metals or whatever it is that we hold in our cells because there's no place for it to go. When you create health in the body, you get exercise, you change your diet, suddenly these toxins find their way to the surface. And you don't have to necessarily ask them to, but they don't want to be held in the cell. They want to be processed. Similarly, every human being has the same motivation to express their potential. That's innate in being a human being. If someone is not experiencing that in themselves, that is just a signal to me that their life experience has been such that it hasn't allowed this natural blueprint for expression and expansion to be possible. And so again, we can develop that signal through our personal practice, through our meditative and contemplative practice, but at the same time, we learn to create that signal by being with people who can receive us, who can feel with us. So again, it's just as I pause, I feel my body. I notice what's happening for me. And I relate to you. I feel into the fact that you are here too. I'm talking to you. I'm expressing to you. So I feel who I'm expressing to. I see, how is this going? How is this landing? I ask the question and I'm open to you sharing, but I'm also feeling into how it feels to be here with you. What is the impact? And I invite you to do the same. You can hear my words. Do you feel my energy in this? Can you feel that I'm really feeling myself and I'm connecting to you as I say this? Or does it feel different? We just look for the signals that happen in our focus, in our sense of relaxation, in our energy, in our emotional world that give us a living answer to that question. And I'd like to talk a little bit about how do we do relational practice. It's very important. I haven't actually spoken very much about that, but just see if anyone has any questions or wants to look at anything with me now before I go on. So my mission is to support the health in all of you and in this global body, in this field of consciousness that is humanity. And where I begun is by working with people one-on-one individually, and I'm still available to that. I think pretty much everyone in here, everyone who's here, and most of the people who are going to listen to the recording have worked with me one-on-one. And because I have a level of development, I'm quite available. I'm a resource, at least I believe I am. And I can do this process with you, which means I can be the place where I use my body to receive you and respond to you. I become the place where when you're sad, I feel sad too. And I show you that, and I connect you, and there's movement and trust is developed. I'm the place where when you have an impulse of life, I can affirm it. But for this blossoming to reach its potential, that our skill set has to develop beyond individual people like me being available to do this, but this being this sort of implicit capacity that exists everywhere in consciousness, where every coworker, every child, every human being is seen and clearly perceived and related to by the people around them. This is the direction that I want to support us. So as much as I teach people, or as I support people to do this with me, I have a community that I'm developing, that we are developing, where we are learning to do this with each other. And I continue to discover through relational experiences with the people in my community, what is the best, the healthiest path forward? What is the way in which this is going to be most functional as a teaching platform and as a learning platform? And that is somewhat in flux for me at the moment, because the stakes are quite high. The most really important thing is that when we have a relational practice, that the outcome of it is that we induce more of this sense of connection and trust and flow. And so if people in the community or who are learning, they don't have so much experience, that we can't guarantee that they will be able to support each other in this way, right? It's something that we learn and we practice over time, we become better at. And I continue to look at what are the essential elements. How do we build a community that learns together and can get more and more capable at seeing each other and receiving each other and responding to each other? And what are the foundations? What do we start with? So this is something that I continue to work on. And in that sense, I don't have a really specific group offering today. What I can continue to offer is that I have time one-on-one to sit with people. And that if you are interested in developing relational practice, that I can connect you with the people in my world to have these practices one-on-one. If you are somebody who has worked with me before, I will invite you to some of the relational practice, the groups that we do. If you're somebody that hasn't worked with me, I would invite that you contact me personally and we can talk about what would be a good fit for you. So just in the time remaining, I just would offer myself to anyone if they have anything they want to explore, if you want to give me feedback about what has happened today, if you have questions, if you want to share your experience, anything.
Maybe just to say thank you. Really appreciate you and what you're building. Thanks.
Thank you. I will receive your thank you. I want to say, just ask your question about, there are certain things that you would like to have seen. There's something that you would really like to have seen. Some people reflect things that may be true, but they're not so meaningful. Did we answer that today, or is there more that you want to share about your question?
I think what Laura said was spot on. I realized that when people say something that they see, but they're judging that, there's this energy, or maybe not even judging, trying to be sophisticated, or trying to, coming from their head, trying to understand me from their mind.
Right.
So they see it, but it feels bad.
Yes.
Oh, you're doing lentils at home, you're doing those stuff, or yes, I do that, like they see that, right? But it doesn't feel like that's great. It feels like judgment or observation or something cold, or I don't know. So
it's very important. I'm glad that you added this. The way that connection actually works is that if I feel anger in my gut, the place it's going to be received is not in your head. It's going to be received horizontally in your gut, in the same place in your body where you have the same capacity. If I feel grief in my heart and I share this with you, it's going to land in your heart. If there's a place where I was very young, where I experienced what happened when I was born, it's not going to be met and land in your head. It's going to land in the place where you were born. So that there's this, what we learn is that when I want to hear people or respond to people, I want to be seen by people, I'm actually talking to their whole body. And similarly, when I'm listening to people's whole body. So when you say thank you, I hear your words, and this is beautiful, but I'm also looking to see where is this coming from in you, and how can I feel you in the place where there's gratitude, where this is meaningful to you. This is words as part of it, but part of it comes from the places in you that are alive, that are motivated, that are really want something like this, and I'm looking to receive that.
I can say more about those dynamics if you want, because there's more examples coming to my mind. But
Go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. For example, I shared with a friend that difficulty with my son, and she said, "Oh," and then asked more question, and I didn't want her to like when it feels like I feel like there's like confusions when people are expressing that they care, but I don't feel they really care. It's like saying the right things, saying what they're kind of expected to say. Oh, it feels like it's taking me to a place that I'm not at. Like I didn't feel that. Oh, I felt like I want to dive into the, I don't know, but not that. So those dynamics is confusing for me. That I feel something, but I'm confused in how much I need to really believe in their authenticity.
Right.
So there's some.
So just as a way of demonstrating this, I just want to see, how do you feel just through your body when you say this? Just what do you notice in your emotions and your sensations? Right. And just see emotionally, what do you notice? You just described confusion. What else do you experience?
Anger.
What I notice is that for me, your words and what you're feeling in your body match, right? That when you tell me you feel contracted or you tell me you feel anger, I start to perceive a coherence between what you're saying and what you're feeling. So when someone comes to you and they are actually feeling anger in their body, but their words are, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." What you are hearing, the words that they're saying and the feelings that they have are not the same, which is not a function of the health of this system. Incoherence is not a function of health. It's confusing. It's actually hard to take in energy where the words and the emotion or the body posture don't match. So if I say like, "Yeah, I'm feeling really relaxed right now," that for you to make sense, for that to be a coherent flow is not so easy. And we notice that we will freeze, or we will tighten, or we will whatever, we will become aggressive, whatever we do, but it's not so easy to digest this communication. And so in this way, connection, just as we described with Galen, connection can't be faked. You can't fake if something feels good and lands for you. Either it does or it doesn't. So what we're learning is that my ability to express how I feel, to be authentic in my expression, makes communication safe for other people. And similarly, when other people express authentically what's happening for them in response to me, this makes it safe for me. And so this is one of the core elements of relational practice, is I speak from the energy of my body. I need to make sure that what I say, that I feel it, and what I'm actually feeling, I say. This is the foundation of communication. And similarly, when I'm receiving someone, I'm listening to their words, but I'm also listening to see how they feel. And so I might ask somebody, how do you feel? You hear me say it all the time. How do you feel when you say that? What are the emotions or sensations that are present? And often people don't know. It's totally normal. They'll pause, they'll feel, and they'll say, actually, I'm angry. And what we've done is we've opened the door to a whole new flow of expression that wasn't present when we were just tracking the words. So coherence, or being authentic, there being a match between what we say and what we're feeling, is one of the primary tools or things that we're looking to do and that we're listening for.
And what do you do when you ask somebody and you see they're not authentic and they're not
Well, what I do,
kind of faking?
what I do is I'm responsive, right? Like I don't have a whole bunch of strategies for what to do when their words don't match up with their energy. What I do is I take in people's expression and I find what my body and my consciousness does in response. So I might say, I might just let it go. I might say, I find myself curious how you feel when you say this, or I might start to track something in my body specifically. I might say, how do you feel in your solar plexus when you say this? Or if they say, I feel really relaxed right now, I might say, you're feeling relaxed? Can you tell me more about that? Who knows? But the relational practice is a practice that is inducing fluid, creative, responsive, constantly changing living relationship. So when we practice, we have specific tools, or we have strategies or question to ask that help us practice this. But life is an improvisation, right? Life is a complete freestyle. And if I develop my practice, I become better at freestyling. And I say, what is my response to this? How much of this comes from my sort of contraction or my fear or my previous experience, which I need to acknowledge? And how much of this comes from the intelligence of my potential? And more, I can tell the difference, and more my potential response, whether it's somebody being angry or somebody not saying what they're feeling, becomes more and more an expression of my intelligence, because it doesn't work when somebody is inauthentic or I perceive them as being incoherent to respond from my contraction from the past and to say, you're not doing this, right? So practice is the place where we slow down, we reduce the complexity of life, just like meditation. It's just you and me, and we're practicing. I have tons of time and space. And just see, okay, what's the next thing that comes up for me when I notice that you asked this question? And I explore without the time pressure of getting it right or arriving at somewhere in particular. I'm inducing creativity. And this is a function of my life energy, to be curious and alive. So it's in these situations that we really practice our responses and go deeper into our habit and conditioning and start to take up more space to unpack our experience into relationship.
Yeah. Thanks again. Perfect.
So maybe we have time for one more question. So again, don't have a specific offering or something that I want to suggest that comes out of this. If you're interested in relational practice, email me. If you're already somebody I work with, I do have groups both open and closed at those different tiers of safety or intimacy or regularity. And I can offer a place in that for you. And if you want to know more about relational practice, I will have future events, and I have recordings of events on my YouTube page. You can look at those as well. So before we go, I would sort of finish as we start. Close my eyes for a minute. Again, I'm still a physical body sitting in my chair, and gravity is still pulling me down into the ground. My body is also alive. I tune into the movement of my sensations, the flow of energy. I turn into my emotional world. Tune into my mental world. And I'm aware. There is a constant flow of energy, of information through my awareness. Everything is moving through the space of my awareness. And this movement has a direction. It's going somewhere. This flow takes me to the future, to my future higher development. And relational practice is the direction. Relationship is the direction that I give to this flow. That what I am experiencing flows from me into you. And as this flow is established from me into you, there is a force of gravity, of momentum that pulls more and more of the frozen energy out of me into life. Connection is the place that like draws my life energy, more and more of my life energy out into the world. It does this when I'm triggered and does this when I'm received. Relational practice is the place when I slow down and I can learn to speak and feel authentically, coherently, and support my development and yours. So I will see you all in the future when this flow has taken us to wherever we are next. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.